Hello, Collective. Today, Spirit has called me to do a reading on the Hollywood star system. And for those of you who are out there who don't know much about it, to give you some understanding, as I've received downloads on it, the Hollywood star system, stars, celebrity status is based on astrology. And certain people who are born in this earth, on this earth, are born spiritually ranked according to their star charts. It being a system, the powers that be, the producers, the studios, have known this ever since film became a major medium. This also includes, of course, writers and producers, as I've said, agents, managers, casting directors now, and the like. I was going to ask for 3 cards, and I get 3 cards. So I'm using the Synchronicity Oracle. We'll find out where this reading is going to go. I don't know what messages will come through. I was just called to do a reading on the Hollywood star system. To give you some background from me, I'm a Hierophant, a high priest, a Heyoka empath, and I'm a graduate of the Juilliard School, where I attended from '96 and graduated in 2000. At the time, I went through the program, and it is most definitely a programming institution, along with Yale and NYU Tisch School of the Arts. And I also include all of the major acting studios and schools around the world. The one based, there are a couple based in the UK, and of course the one based in Australia, from which all of the big Australian actors graduated from. So, at the time I went through the program, which was very intense, and I had an amazing time once I got through my first year. At the time, I didn't know how much of an influence these people, these teachers, these directors of these programs had in, shall we say, allowing or introducing their students to the industry. At the conclusion of the 4 years, there is what's called leagues. This is a night or a couple of nights where the industry are invited to witness, view the graduating students of these programs. They're called leagues because probably back in the 70s, Yale, Juilliard, and NYU would bring their graduating students into a theater, and these scenes and monologues would be performed. I don't know when they split up, but each still have their own evening where they invite managers, casting directors, and agents to come check them out. Ironically, when it was my time to take part in leagues, I had a wonderful second, third, and fourth year at Juilliard. And I had an exceptionally good league night, or nights. So I was approached by many in the industry, and I ended up working with David Kolodner out of William Morris, who's a theater agent in the New York office, or was. I have no idea where he is now. And a classmate of mine who left after his first year, Wes Bentley, had worked with Lee Daniels. I believe around the time he did the film that Oprah produced or was in. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, long story short, one of Lee Daniels' assistants approached me, and I started working with Lee Daniels. Little did I know then that that was the beginning of my introduction to the true nature of the Hollywood star system. A very dark, manipulative, Luciferian, satanic, part of the industry. This part is obsessive over their clients. At the time, Lee Daniels was repping supermodels and musicians, and this was before he produced Precious and that thing with Kevin Bacon, which I haven't seen. Anyway, it was long before he became a producer. Very egoistic. He is a Leo. Black male, was living with a very big and talented casting director by the name of Billy Hopkins, who ran Hopkins, Smith, and Barden, who I'm unsure of if they still are in business. Anyway, I was young, I was impressionable. I was 29, I wasn't so young. I was one of the older graduates from my particular class, and we started out with, I believe, 18 students who went through the program, and ended up dropping 5, one of which was Wes Bentley. Or he left and others had dropped, which is common practice. After the second year, you're evaluated, and then, if the so-called teachers of acting and the director, and specifically Michael Kahn, felt like you had any value, then you would be kept on to continue through the third and fourth year. But if the faculty did not believe that you were a good fit, AKA you had any talent that they, Juilliard, could profit from your name, you would be dropped. You'd be asked to leave. At the time, I thought I was fortunate that I made it through, and ended up working, and I believe signing with Lee Daniels. My memory is foggy. I was young. I was going out and partying. Ironically, I had become clean and sober about 9 months before graduation, and during which I was doing the best work of my life at that point. In fact, there was a production of Love's Labor's Lost I did with my classmates, the 13 of us. Morena Baccarin was in my group, along with Glenn Howerton. And it was the three of us who really had a strong response from the industry. Of course, everybody knows Morena and Glenn went on. However, I did not. I struggled, mainly because I was working with Lee Daniels, who, gay, black male, a Leo, as I've said, totally obsessive, and I believe does magic. And I don't think there's a coincidence that, well, the download that I've received is that Jussie Smollett and what he went through is tied to Lee Daniels. It wouldn't surprise me that Lee Daniels was responsible for setting up Mr. Smollett in some way or another, because soon after working with Lee Daniels, it was arranged to meet his sister, whom he said was a casting director. I believe was essentially a witch. I met with her, she read my energy, and she knew what was in my star chart, and how powerful I was, and how influential, and my potential for being a star in their Hollywood star system. At the time, and before Leagues, in that 9 months of sobriety, where I was producing some of the best work, this production of Love's Labor's Lost, where I played Don Armado, I had faculty members approach me and said that was the best performance I've seen on that stage of graduates in 10 years, or in the entire time that I've been teaching at that institution. Many instructors said that. Of course, Michael Kahn, the director, did give me kudos, but not to the extent that I was deserving. For, I believe, Michael Kahn to be a con who is essentially a power-hungry Leo male, gay male, who didn't like my light and my talent, and chose other students to take under his wing, shall we say. And I don't think it's a coincidence that this other student, Lynn Collins, who was in group 28, the group ahead of me, I was in group 29, was a triple Taurus, or is a triple Taurus. I remember sitting outside the classroom in conversation with Glenn Howerton, and we were discussing, this must have been in our third year, we were discussing, maybe fourth year, we were discussing what life might be like once we graduate and working in the industry. And I wish I could remember the details, but somehow we got onto the subject of, maybe it was me that asked, what do you think got us into this school? Why is it that this school only accepts 18, 20 students out of the thousands who apply each year? Why is the class so small? Of course, it's advertised that the teacher to student ratio is awesome, and it is. I mean, I had an amazing time there. And he mentioned astrology, which I just I let it go because I didn't know my chart at that point, and he did mention something about being a triple Taurus. Glenn is an Aries sun. And after that conversation, I remember bumping into Lynn Collins and having a similar conversation. Well, at that point, Lynn was everybody knew in the school. All the 4 classes knew that Lynn was Michael Kahn's prodigy or golden child, shall we say, and a triple Taurus. I think I might have looked up my sun sign, but I just let it go. I'm a quad Taurus, sun, moon, and rising, and I have Saturn in Taurus. I have a grand Earth trine. I have Jupiter and Neptune, certain aspects I have like 6 trines, 3 sextiles, 3 conjunctions, as I mentioned, a grand Earth trine. Where I'm getting at is the Hollywood star system is based on astrology. And although I haven't looked them up, and I will, maybe in part 2 of this reading, star, right there. And then we have Leo, which represents the entertainment industry. I mentioned writers, crafters of spell work. That is a part of the Hollywood star system. If you don't know, Hollywood comes from the fact that in witchcraft, a wand is made from the holly tree. This is occult magic. This is spell work. This is illusion, right? We're dealing with images when we talk of film and theater in general. Well, I did not know anything about astrology when I started working with Lee Daniels, who at the time was, I believe, struggling with his meth addiction. And I had not shared with him or anyone at the school before I was accepted. I too was struggling with addictions because my mother introduced that into our family from a very early age, along with videos of a intimate nature, shall we say, or an adult nature. I was never ever limited to PG or G films from a very early age. In fact, when my immediate family, and my mother raised a single mother, she's a Scorpio, moved us to the state of Oregon, I remember being babysat by the roommate of the man that she coupled with and who for all intents and purposes, was a stepfather to my younger brother and I, for half brother, for 4 or 5 years. Anyway, one evening, maybe my mother and Al Fox, this pedophile, were working because they met at work. I was babysat by Al's roommate, and the roommate spent time in his bedroom the whole time I was there, and sat me down in front of the television, and I watched by myself in this lazy boy chair William Friedkin's film Cruising, which starred Al Pacino. Now, it is a very, very dark, very adult themed film of Pacino's character who goes undercover in New York City, or maybe it was San Francisco, as a gay male looking for a serial killer. And the film culminates to a scene where it's very graphic and something that you wouldn't allow a what was I, 5th grader, 6th grader, maybe 7th grader. No, I wasn't yet 7th grade. Anyway, I watched this film, and that was that was just one part of my early childhood. I've always been consuming film and music as well from an early age, and learning the craft of acting by absorbing so much of it. It always came naturally to me, and I am a great actor. I'm unique. I'm very honest and authentic in my work. And I think both Michael Kahn and my teachers at Juilliard, my first acting teacher, John Stix, a gay man who would invite the first year class over to his home in Nyack for the day and evening, kind of like an introductory party, food, drinks, if we were of age. And usually there would be several boys from the class who would remain and sometimes sleep over. And of course we would hear tales of past classes and past experiences of these young males at John's house at that party. I think my league performance and the reaction I had from the industry, and in particular the work that I did in my final year, was a big shock to Michael Kahn. And I believe he knew not only my star chart, but all of the students accepted into schools like Juilliard, NYU, and Yale. The administration runs their charts because it's within the star chart, our astrological charts, where we can see the probability of the individual, their success in the industry. How much can Hollywood profit off this individual? How magnetic are they? How talented are they? It's all in the chart. And those of us who instinctively, as I did, stepped away from Hollywood after going out and auditioning and playing all that shit, the games, the ties to sex and manipulation, it just disgusted me, and it stressed me out, given my inclination for darker energies, allowing them, entertaining them from an early age, including drug use, introduced in my household at a very early age. I was the first grandchild, firstborn. I remember knowing what a quaalude was from a very early age, or what are called, my mom called whites, which are basically amphetamine or cross tops, and her popping them frequently. The anxiety and the overt manipulation and power-hungry individuals in this sick industry, who couldn't wait to get their hands on me, figuratively or literally, to profit off me monetarily or physically, enjoy my young, talented, handsome body. I started drinking. I started smoking. I started having lots of promiscuous sexual encounters. I mean, it was New York. I was in my 20s. I was good looking. I was talented. You know how easy it was for me to get laid? And I enjoyed it. I had my kind of first coming out at the age of 25, moving to, well, I became very promiscuous later than 25, but before I graduated, most certainly I was trying cocaine for the first time, and going out and drinking on the weekends when I could, when I wasn't in production. And certainly after graduation, and to deal with this stress and anxiety from these gay men, most of them were, and if they weren't, they were. Some of them were still looking for that dollar, still looking to control and manipulate and live vicariously through these young, talented artists, whether they're male or female. I started mixing sex and this promiscuous lifestyle with amphetamines and with crystal meth, as was Lee Daniels, whom I'm assuming has at least talked about his addiction back then. So I start working with him and also taking part in this kind of activity. And he shared with me that he was also into that and occasionally doing that. I don't know if he said occasionally, but there'd be large sex parties of men in Harlem that he would attend. I'm fairly certain that he had invited me to at least one of those parties. Of course, I declined. Where is this going? It came to a point where I realized I don't want to be in this business. In my 9 months of sobriety before graduation, at the top of my work that I was doing on stage, I got messages that, or I knew that in order to survive in this industry, I still needed to heal a lot of what I had been through in my, up to that point, due to the circumstances, due to my early childhood. And all I wanted to do was move away, travel the world, fall in love, fall into a healthy love, get to know myself. But my ego fell prey to all of the attraction from William Morris, from Lee Daniels, and from casting directors and whatnot. I ended up doing some good projects while I was in the industry, but by 2005, I knew I had to get the fuck out of there, and I did. I had left Lee Daniels. He was not happy about that. He was, of course, trying to get me to Los Angeles, and I wasn't interested in film. I was born in Los Angeles. I was raised in Southern California, and all the while, before the age of 25, I had plenty of opportunity to go down to Los Angeles and play that game, and it was never something that I was interested in doing. So I never did. And dealing with anxiety and the overt sexual nature of even New York theater and regional theater in this country, I was not interested. So I left, knowing that I wanted to go away, I wanted to clean myself up, and I told myself at the time, develop a thick enough skin so that I could return to the industry and continue, maybe continue with acting. And if I couldn't develop a thick skin, a strong enough ego, then I'll be damned if I would return to the industry unless the industry were somehow wildly different. And it started changing the industry in 2017 when I attended a 50-year Juilliard Drama Division reunion, the first that they've ever held in 2017. I was at lunch with Jessica Chastain and some members of my class, and we're reminiscing, talking about John Styx and his party, and I shared with them that after that party, I had gone out to Nyack to John's house before he passed. A few times. He was popular for for cooking coq au vin, and I did some yard work and would sleep over. And one evening, I went in to say goodnight to him, and he was lying in his bed, and he asked me if I wanted to join him, and I politely declined. And I was sharing with my classmates and Jessica Chastain. This would be in October, I believe it was October 8th or 9th in 2017. And I believe it was October 5th that Ronan Farrow's article about Weinstein and about, or the beginnings of the We Too, is that the name? Movement began. And I recounted the story of declining John, and I ended that by saying, I kind of felt bad that I didn't at least get into to bed with him and cuddle an old, aging, dying gay man who had been, his partner had died years ago or before this time. And Jessica, it was really lovely. She goes, well, that's grooming. That's manipulation. This is the shame and the guilt that these gay men put out into the industry to subtly manipulate and force straight, bi, questioning, or gay actors into their beds, to have sex with them, to manipulate them, to abuse them emotionally, psychologically, and physically. And I always remember that. So thank you for that, Jessica, because she's absolutely right. It was after that reunion that I decided I'm going to go home to Alaska, where I'd been living for quite a while. And I'm going to spend the next couple of years saving up some money, and then I'm going to return to the industry. Well, that never happened. Not because I didn't want it to happen, but it was in the period from 2017 to April 26th, 2021. April 26th is my birthday. I spent in the air flying to Los Angeles, and I landed in my birth city on my birthday in 21. But from that time deciding to go back to the industry in 2017 to that moment, I had been awakened painfully, thankfully, spiritually, by God, by angels, triggered by the transits that were happening in that period of time. The most deeply felt transits occurred in November and December of 2020. There were 2 eclipses. Before that, in 2018, the planet Uranus moved into the sign of Taurus. That's when I started going down rabbit holes, 2 rabbit holes, one of cognitive functions theory and Carl Jung's work, and the other into ancient civilizations and the life cycles of Gaia, where a comet strike or a meteor strike would decimate life on Earth to, like 80%, and then Gaia would rebuild. We, as a species, would rebuild. So I'm talking about events like the Great Flood, mentioned in the Bible. And, a mythology that is replete in so many bloodlines and histories of all the peoples of the earth. So I was doing a lot of research and a lot of introspection, certainly because of my interest in cognitive functions theory. Well, these two eclipses happened in 2020, but the big event for me that I literally felt, where all my chakras aligned, I literally felt the crown chakra, and the third eye and the heart chakra expand. My psychic abilities were off the hook. I was seeing and experiencing synchronicity in my life that I could not explain otherwise. And up until this point, I was an outspoken atheist. All the while, from a very early age, being incredibly sensitive, not knowing that I was as psychic as I was, not knowing my astrology and my birth chart, that I am a quad Taurus, and I have these amazing aspects that are incredibly rare, and that would to anyone in Hollywood would show me to be a hierophant. For a definition of a hierophant, you can see my previous video. But basically, it's hierophants existed before popes. Popes are hierophant-like. Hierophants are the original popes of the world, because we now understand, or I understand certainly, and see the connection between the Catholic Church and its SA and all the abuse that the Catholic Church has created in this world against the children that were unfortunate to be birthed into that religion, and its ties to Hollywood, and also Judaism. It's not a coincidence that Judeo-Christian belief and dogma and ideology and evil, crimes and abuse are linked to Hollywood. And now politics. For example, Skull and Bones, out of Yale University, started tracking me when I worked at the Long Wharf. Actually, I was working in Connecticut at Hartford Stage when I was first approached, I believe, by somebody who was in Yale School of Drama at the time, but I think was sent to befriend me from this secret society, this Skull and Bones society, which is a combination of Hollywood and now politics. We see, if you haven't recently, the list of celebrities, politicians, and the like on the list of guests on Epstein's Island. It's a sick, sick world that needs to be illuminated. It needs to be uncovered, and the crimes and the abuse that these secret societies, that Hollywood has produced over the last century is now coming to light. Tree of Life, Kabbalah. This is Hebrew, Jewish mysticism. I mentioned the Great Flood. And then, of course, tarot, which is comprised of Judeo-Christian mysticism, magic, astrology, numerology, symbology, are all found in the tarot. I could keep on talking and not really look at the cards. To finish my story, I had no idea that I would be talking so much, and so apparently randomly, but I hope you can follow this thread that I am a very powerfully talented individual. I've lived many lives on this planet, and proof of this can be found in my astrological chart. Which means that for you watching this, who isn't involved with Hollywood, who are members of the general public, know that these secret societies, governments, and the dark, nefarious goings-on of religion and Judeo-Christian belief, it's all based, or shall we say, the power that these secret societies and corporations and governments hold over us is keeping the knowledge that what's in your star chart determines how spiritually, what spiritual rank you actually have in this incarnation on this planet. So I urge you all to learn astrology. It's not of the devil, as religion, as Christians, so-called Christians, and Catholics will tell you, have taught you, have told you. They place a veil over your eyes because Judeo-Christian belief, secret societies, world governments, they are the matrix. They are the constructors, the builders, who maintain the matrix that you are caught in. And it is imperative at this time, and this is the time where many of us are spiritually awakened by the transits of the planets. Believe it. The United States is going through a Pluto return. Pluto takes 248 years to orbit around the sun. It is at the spot in the heavens it was when this nation was founded. Pluto brings with it enormous change. and death to old systems. As we exit the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, this is a natural transition that we are going through. The volcanoes, the earthquakes, the cyclones, the hurricanes, the tsunamis, the pandemics, the disease, the mass shootings, they're all indicative and signs from the universe, from our Creator, from Gaia herself, that we are undergoing massive change for our good. If only you are aware of it. If only you can step out of the matrix, will you understand this and learn to avoid the traps that are still in place to keep you trapped in place behind the veil of the matrix. Learn astrology. Share this video with your friends, with your family. We are truly made of stardust. We come from the heavens. And the heavenly bodies, the luminaries, the moon and the sun, and the other planets, comets, asteroids, they all have an effect on us down here. Yet Yahweh, yet God, yet Allah, whatever you believe in, gives us free will. It is up to you to decide, do you want to take the blue pill or the red pill? You can choose. It is up to you. Know that should you choose the blue pill to remain in the security of your billions of dollars, or in your mansions and your yachts, and or in the safety and security of your job or workplace where you're making money and living comfortably, know that all that is illusion. All of that is a big, juicy carrot that the designers and the maintainers of the matrix dangle in front of you. But should you choose to pursue that carrot much longer, you might take a bite and you will find out that it's poison. And you will not survive the transition that this planet, that this earth, that our society is going through. You won't. Unless you wake up. If you choose the red pill. If you agree to willingly, if you choose to transform and undergo an egoic death, societal death, a complete transformation, and trust in the divine, that on the other side, at the end of this painful, frightening journey that we're in, that we're on, it's only then will you understand the true nature of reality. question authority. But don't spend too much time, because there isn't much time left. My advice to you is go inward. Each and every one of you, go inward. Learn your numerology, learn your astrology, or any other typology system, because they're all based on your astrological chart. Human design, for example. I've also done plenty of research to know that the cognitive functions I've linked to the elements and to the planets as well. The way we think, how we feel and process things in our mind, in our emotions, and in our body are all influenced by the luminaries and the celestial bodies in the solar system. Believe it, because it's absolutely true. Yet at the same time, God gives us free will. You can choose the red pill, or you can choose the blue pill. But choose.